So let's, I guess I better get myself organized here. Okay, so let's go ahead and call to order, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Dobson? Here. Mr. Earhart?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Aravallo?
Here.
Ms. Dominic? Mr. Sly?
Here.
Ms. Squire?
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Very good. All righty. Any changes to the agenda this evening?
No.
All right. I'd accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right. Citizen participation. I believe we have one person signed up. If you'd state your name and address, please.
Yep. Charles or Chuck Morse, 18460 South Ridgeview. So I just wanted to touch base on something you guys had talked about on the January 4th meeting. It wasn't on the agenda then, but that was the lighting at the Monarch Cement Plant. So I just wanted to thank you for keeping it in mind and being, not forgetting my area's concerns with the lighting. So I went over there that night after the meeting. And I took a new picture. And I was comparing it to the picture I took on April 4th, or April last year. And in the images, it looks like nothing's changed. So the number of lights is the same. There's some more lighting on one of the towers at the top. But then tonight I drove by there, and I'm doubting myself. Because I'm now wondering, like, maybe it's my camera that actually was doing a longer exposure and making it appear to be the same brightness. So I'm not here to tell you that it hasn't changed, but I'm not sure. But regardless, I appreciate you guys continuing to remember that and bring it up. So that's all I had.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Any other citizens signed up?
No.
Any other citizens like to speak? All right, we'll move on then. Formal commission action, approval of minutes from the January 4th meeting.
I move that we accept the minutes from January 4th, 24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 4th meeting. Start the voting on the left.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-2. And moving on to preliminary plat 143-2024, Bridger at 207th Street.
Good evening. This is the preliminary plat that goes along with the rezonings that you approved or recommended for approval last month. This is preliminary plat for Bridger at 207th, plat 143-2024. It's 129 acres of R1 and R2 zoning. There is 124 R1 lots and 91 duplexes, doors. The applicant is BR Estates at Arizona, and they submitted the application for the preliminary plat of Bridger at 207th. At the November 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission approved a preliminary plat Bridger at 207th as part of the planned RP1 rezoning from RR. The Planning Commission did not approve portion of the preliminary plat that was reflective of RP2 rezoning request. At the last Planning Commission meeting, the applicant submitted and the PC recommended approval of straight zoning R1 and R2, which required a revised preliminary plat. This plat before you is reflective of the change in the R1, R2 zoned areas. The preliminary plat does conform to R1, R2 zoning with 124 single-family lots and 91 two-family lots. The resubmittal for rezoning of the property to R1 and R2 was reflective of comments by the Planning Commission. There are 124 lots in R1 and 91 lots in R2. The proposed preliminary plat shows 215 lots. The plat that was presented in November had a total of 138 lots in the RP1 and 96 in RP2. The revised plat decreased the number of lots by 19. The review comments from government agencies, consultants, and utility providers have been implemented as applicable on the revised plat. The applicant and their engineer have addressed all of the provided comments, and additional easements may be required to accommodate the improvements. A traffic study will be required with construction documents of phase one. There remain 3 access points into the subdivision. The right-of-way and utility easements are shown with dimensions meeting the minimum requirements for the city and affected utility providers. Again, additional easements may be required at final plat. The plat conforms to the property development standards in section 17.33A, size of lots and setbacks. Maximum height and building setbacks will be addressed during the building permit process. The city will provide sanitary sewers, and Water One will provide water to the subdivision for the north half. Applicant will have to work with Water One or Miami County District 2 for the south half of the property. The subdivision is required to provide 15% of public or private active open space. The applicant has identified all tracts with a total of 10.7% or 55 accessible acres as private open space and common area. A trail running through the parkland is listed as a public trail system that may connect to a regional trail in the future. The excise tax will be calculated at final plat. The amount of open space, road right-of-way, and certain road improvements will be used to offset excise tax. The comp plan does not show any trails in the area of the subdivision, so the addition of the public trail is a good amenity to the area that may be connected to a regional trail throughout the community. This trail system would be required to be maintained by the homeowners association, with the open space and trail system accessible to general public. No park impact fees will be collected if it remains on the final plat. Upon review of the application, you can either approve the application, approve with modifications, table, or reject. Let's see, staff recommends approval of preliminary plat 143-2024, Bridger at 207th. A traffic study with the following conditions. A traffic study shall be provided at phase 1 of construction. Homeowner association maintains the park's open space and trail system, and the applicant pays a park fee when a building permit is issued if the access to the trail is not granted to the city at large. An improvement agreement must be signed, and excise tax, if any, must be paid prior to the final plat. And the landscape plan is included, and it meets all of our requirements. They have a representative here with SEH, if you have any questions that we can't answer.
Any questions for Amy?
So is the traffic study gonna be done before or right at construction, like you said?
It'll be right at construction. Yeah, and there still is final plat, but it'll be, I believe, at construction.
So we won't see the traffic study until,
It'll be reviewed when construction goes.
Yes.
okay. And then the duplexes are in with the homeowners association as well, so they would maintain all that? I don't know how duplexes work.
Yeah, that I don't know. Do you, Anthony?
Anthony Krejci with Short Elliott Hendrickson. So the duplex lots would be, the developer doesn't really have a plan as far as saleability or leasability of those. He's keeping that open completely at this point in time based on market variability. But I can tell you that it will be included in the HOA. They'll have their own amenity space, kind of separate from the single family area for the plat, that they will maintain as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Any other questions?
There's a lot of open tracts of land. I mean, I like that, but what's the end game? How are those going to be maintained? What's the aesthetic going to be of all these tracks and green spaces? Is it just going to be let run wild? Is it going to be mowed weekly? What's the end game on those?
Yep, so that will be a decision on the, kind of the formation of the HOA as to what those end up being. A lot of those might be, tree planted, based on the developer's intentions. Most of them will be mowed, maintained turf areas. Yep.
And ponds are stormwater ponds?
Yes, all the ponds proposed that are on, I think it's the site plan of the prelim plat documents. Those are all the required stormwater ponds to meet the requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Just remember, Mr. Earhart, that the majority of this is floodplain.
Yeah.
And you're not able to do anything in floodplain, major things, go in and clear it out and all. So
I just didn't know if it was gonna be mowed lawn, like
understand,
open
yeah.
space, or if it was gonna be planted with trees.
Right.
Wooded.
Yep, so the area is specifically to the west, that's on the backside of those lots.
Right.
Before you get into the floodplain area, there is a tremendous amount of vegetation out there existing.
Okay.
And our goal is to keep as much of that as we can on both sides. The developer is really keen on that, so.
Right.
Yep.
Because I mean, if these tracts of land, if they're all mowed versus they're all planted with trees, that changes the aesthetic completely. of this area.
Absolutely.
Versus, your neighborhood driving through the wooded area versus, open plain. So
Right.
just curious.
Right. So for the landscape plan, we did include all of the required landscaping on the submittal. The street trees spaced accordingly, but the internal tracks that are kind of stormwater conveyance to get to those ponds, those might have a little bit of variability based on the HOA's funding and what they want to care for. Yep,
Thank you.
no problem.
I have a question here, just make, so I know the numbers are accurate. It says 15% of public or private active open space is required in the subdivision. And it shows the applicant has identified all tracts with a total of 10.7% or 55 accessible acres, is that right?
yes, and what happened there is up in the upper corner is not being fully preliminary platted, so that wasn't even taken into account. When that comes into account up there, the entire plat meets that. Do you see the map that you have on the gray and
Now I get it.
this one? Yeah, this one here, and you can see that there's additional land in there. So, and this is one that they're working on to see if they can, do so that something that is acceptable to
Did we rezone that?
body. Pardon me?
Did we rezone that area? Or
No.
No, that was not included in the rezoning.
Okay. So that's what you're working on right now.
Right, so what Pat's saying is, so that, the overall development as a whole with that corner piece.
Right.
There's an existing pond there that we're basically going to kind of revitalize and make it work with stormwater requirements.
Okay.
And a huge tract, kind of swale, natural swale that gets to that. That with that green space, we're way over the 15%.
Right. Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Now, you show three entry points, and I don't remember exactly who's responsible for doing the extension of Ridgeview.
So it should show, four, well, I guess, yeah, 3 on this part of the plat. There would hopefully be an additional access point on Ridgeview on that future area.
Oh,
So I was thinking 4 in my head. So as far as the extension of Ridgeview Road, I don't think there's been any talks yet with how or when that will be extended. I just know that it was required of us to dedicate right away and allow for it to be extended. Yep.
So this may be a dumb question, but some of these you have are color coded. Some are green, some are orange, some are yellow.
Yep.
And what is the color coding? I didn't see a legend that tells me what those are.
It's just the rezoning.
Yeah, so that's the zoning, the difference of the zoned lots. The green is the green space, and then we basically color code it just so that you have a better idea, of how many lots or which lots are separating each other. Right, right. So the orange, is the R2. And then the yellow is the R1. The internal space that's kind of like a dark orange color is the amenity space there, between the yellow lots.
Okay, and then the green is just indicating that that's where the green space is going to be.
Green space,
Okay.
yep,
That's where it was throwing me off. Is I was seeing the green and I was like,
right.
okay, I
Right.
understand.
We find that it helps to put some color on there sometimes, because otherwise you just stare at a bunch of black lines and you have really no indication of what it is.
You're making my job so much easier. I don't know what to think of it. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Thank you, sir.
Awesome, thanks.
You guys are kind of quiet tonight.
I've got no comments.
Yeah. Yep, no more comments for me.
We want to make a motion?
A motion to approve the preliminary plat 14/2024 for Bridger at 207th subdivision, including conditions 1 through 4 as presented in the staff report.
Oh, hey, is it 143 or 14? There's two different.
It's 143, sorry.
Okay.
143,
Yeah, 143.
Yeah.
as presented by staff.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the preliminary plat with the 4 recommendations. Start the voting on the left.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Discussion items, comprehensive plan update. Heard we had a meeting last night.
We did.
I heard it was really good too.
Yeah, it was the last of the 4. So what Shockey is doing now is putting together, we went over the chapters. There's going to be 6 chapters in the new plan. So he's going to start putting all those together with all the comments from all the steering committee meetings, from all the pop-up events, the surveys, and then we're going to try to get him in here to talk to you guys. Maybe the March meeting, if not, then April. Or even if we maybe have to do a special meeting or something to get him in March. And then after that, we'll have a joint session with council. So if you guys, since he's beginning to write the chapters, if you guys have any changes that you want to send or recommendations, things that you want them to be aware of and maybe put in there, I would recommend you send them to Pat or I, and then we can forward them on and kind of get the process, to keep going forward.
Okay.
It's like the recommendations and no recommendation is crazy. So storm shelters or additional sidewalks with the sidewalks, whatever we've talked about a lot of different changes and I have a lot of stuff written down, but we want to make sure that, we get that in there. And then I'll let you go ahead.
I'm done unless you guys have any
So
questions.
the other thing would be is the boundary area, the growth area and all. We'll be getting some information out to you on that. And that's gonna be really important, one, to see if that's, an area that you agree with. And the other is, what specific uses you'd like to see in these areas. You know, the comp plan, I mean, the one we have now currently, there was some areas here that had some, you know, mixed use, commercial and all that, but then we got out to some of the areas and it was just a brushstroke. And some of that's starting to catch up with us now because, you know, we're expanding out. Or the other thing is too, is we say, well, that's going to be residential, and let's say it's across the street, it's gearing towards industrial. It affects the roads as well. So, you know, if we can have a vision that a certain area, you think this area would be good for industrial, it also steers CIP and everything towards improvements of roads and things like that. So we'll send out, and then I'll send out, or Amy will, on ideas that we have, just visionary ideas. You know, don't worry, you can't hurt my feelings if you say, no, none of that's correct. You know, I mean, seriously. And this is the time, this is really, well, you know, I wanted to start that part of it earlier. Unfortunately, I got ill, but this is the time, the future land use is where you can form your city, your community, how you want it. I mean, how many times have we gone into something and said, well, I don't know about that, but it's on the future land use, or it's not on it, you know. They're not going to get everything exactly perfect, but if we can get ideas and you guys of what you envision going forward. I know there was talk about what to do with South Webster, you know, and what you kind of envision that, and what you envision against all the different intersections and all. So we'll get that out to you. You know, what do you do along railroad tracks and ouch, you know, you're all very much aware that the city is working on the Bucyrus sewer stuff, you know, so when you get out in that area, what is it? And we're not going to get it perfect, but we do need to have a pretty decent idea so that we can guide it in how you see it. So.
In that regard, one of the items that was discussed yesterday was in reference to the thing that comes up every time you ask somebody is trails.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I didn't, they did not provide us sort of an up-to-date of where the existing trails are.
Right.
Because the interest of some of the people, at least in our table, was how do you connect them?
Okay. I can do that really quick because that doesn't take long to find them.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'll just come up and Google Earth or something, and then I'll just highlight them and get them out. I did draw some stuff of how I thought we could connect, and I think we've talked about it, you know, down through Wiswell and across, and then back up, and you know, I don't know, the highway under it would be neat. Always like under better. Can't jump under. Jump off over, you know. So I always thought that would be neat to do something like that. And then remember, we maybe even can, and I really haven't looked at this close enough lately, but may be able to go down and utilize the golf courses under the road in conjunction to keep going across things and get to the Hillsdale area. You know, we've talked about that. And not saying that we annex clear out to Hillsdale, but if we can all get in conjunction with it, and I think that it could work, you know, get with the county and the Corps and everybody like that. So I'll do that. That is a good idea. I didn't really think about it, but it won't take but a minute.
And there is, that Bike Walk KC, strategy plan that I do have, and I'd be happy to send that to all you. It was from back in 2020, and it kind of shows where they would place some trails and such within the city. That might be helpful.
And I think the 20th, we meet with Bike KC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's the
Okay.
20th. So.
Okay.
My only comment would be to try to put as much teeth or
Emphasis.
in there that we can hang our hats on versus the old comp plan was more generalities,
Right.
hoping for,
That's what I was getting at.
hoping for
Yeah.
growth, so.
And I think the other
I
thing,
think we need to put, this is specific, not somewhere in the 12-mile radius. I just think we need to get teeth in everything, whether it's
and that,
exterior building material, whatever it is. I think we need to make sure. And
maybe different zones and things like that. And the other thing that, today I did some stuff and I'm starting to look at quality of life where, you know, it seems like you get into that position where you say trails or sidewalks and it seems like there's always somebody against it and somebody for it. But trails and sidewalks and parks and all, quality of life, they all have to go in together. Where, you know, if you don't like bicycling, you don't like walking down the trails, there's something else you can do. Frisbee golf, whatever, all that stuff. And it's more a term of quality of life. And I think that's something we really need to look at. This plan here, this developer, you saw that they have walking trails down through there. Now we just have to figure out, and they even put on there, you know, to be determined exactly, in us trying to work with them to do some connection through these subdivisions and all. So, and down through the floodplains and.
back to even Chuck's comment with the lighting, let's make sure we get the teeth in there with lighting and signage and.
Well, you know, it's always funny to me though, and some of that is, you know, we have some existing businesses that are a lot brighter.
No, I'm just saying,
And, no, I understand.
generality of,
But the other thing is too, you know, when we do these photometrics and all, we stick to them pretty close. Now, if you look at, well, let's use Monarch. It's lit up, but you can look at it and there's not glare. And, you know, that's what those photometrics, it's the school, same way. You know, it's really bright, it's lit up, but it's not glaring at you and all. So I'm not disagreeing with you.
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying that we try and stick to those photometrics the best we can. And we've been, any big, we just make them do it, so. But yeah, no, I agree.
So I know that it came up about the sidewalk study that was done. Can you remind me of when that was done?
Is that the bike?
18?
I thought it said
8, 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
I actually just pulled all those up, and we'll get them out, so. Yeah.
And I would like to thank Josh and Adolfo for being on there. And that
Yes.
they volunteered to
Yes.
Yeah,
be on the steering committee. So thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate that.
good job.
Good experience.
I hope we fed you well, I don't know.
Oh, we're fed well.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Any other discussion about the comprehensive plan?
I'm ready to get it back and get going.
yes.
Okay. Me too. Sounds good.
Seems like it's been a long wait.
Yeah, it has been. So, all right, moving on to reports. Following items, go ahead, Amy.
Okay, January 11th, there was no agenda items on the city council. On the 25th, they approved the final plat for Woodland Crossing South Third, final plat for Cummins Property Seventh, the site plan for Cummins Property Seventh, and then the 3 rezonings, the 2 Bridger at 207th, and then the Wiswell rezoning, and then the Travel Plaza, they tabled that until next meeting, which is February 8th.
All right, moving on to announcements. Anybody have any announcements?
Nope.
I'd like to congratulate Mary on being back on the board again.
Thank you.
We missed you for a few months. Glad you're back.
Can we, with the time of year that it is, can we pull up and revisit the bylaws for planning commission?
I think so.
And have those discussions of Johnson County versus Lyman County and
Mm-hmm.
how, what's in there and what's not in there?
Mhm.
Can we revisit that maybe?
What does next meeting look like?
Next meeting would just be the election of chair and vice chair. I don't think.
I was asking load.
Oh, and an executive session we're gonna add on there. Currently, I don't have any development, I don't think, to be on there, so,
Okay, so it sounds like it'd be a good time to do that then?
yep.
Especially since we're nominating positions. So tell me more about this executive session for planning commission.
Spencer will guide you through it.
Okay.
And it'll be, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here, I'm not used to it anymore, too long off. Spencer will guide you through it, and it'll be, action, with attorney-client privilege. So, and then, he'll guide you through it. I know that has never, and been done on this board, so, guide you through it, and, if you have to, in executive sessions and all, you can't veer and all.
Right.
So don't, if Spencer says, let's, and that's really important. I mean, I know here out in the, he still sometimes has to say, but at least the public knows what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
So if Spencer says, oh, that doesn't fall in it, we just have to quit talking about that at that time. So,
And I'll have a motion drawn up,
yeah.
because you'll have to state the time and who will be included in the executive session,
And
and what it's regarding.
I was gonna say, that's what my question was, is what can it regard for our executive sessions?
Well, what we'll do, Spencer will go through that with you, because it's a long
Okay.
list of everything, and then it's a short list of nothing sometimes. So we'll let Spencer guide you through that. Matter of fact, we'll try and we will get something out to you, before the next meeting on just some generality stuff.
Okay.
Or we'll make sure.
Yeah, we're not trying to be vague to be frustrating. We just, executive sessions in general are sort of vague because the point of them is to go have a talk where you guys can get my advice that I can't give you out here because it's attorney-client privilege. So we're not trying to hide stuff from you or the public. That's just the way the Open Meetings Act works. For what it's worth, I don't know that we have ever had someone call into an executive session. We can make that decision in there, but for those of you who might not be able to make it next month, just keep in touch with Amy so we can make sure that we know who's going to be there and whether we need to set up a call in or something. So we have a council.
Okay.
Yeah, the important thing is no votes in executive sessions, no decisions are made. It's really more of an informative process where we can kind of talk frankly and then come back out here.
Right. That's what I'm used to, so that's why I was just curious how this was gonna work with the planning commissions. Anybody have any announcements? Nope.
We should have our appointments by that meeting, right?
You should, I have.
Yep, we're gonna have the announcements, are we gonna have the appointments by next meeting? Okay,
He doesn't.
like I wasn't
do the
listening.
appointing, he just.
I know, he just does the voting, I know.
If any, it'd be the last meeting in February, I think, if.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. Glad you came to join us tonight. I have an announcement. I will not be able to be here on the April meeting,
Okay,
but I will be here next month in March.
Okay.
So the more we can get done then, the better off.
Well, if executive session doesn't take that long and nothing comes up between now and then, maybe we can even work as a group on some of the comp plan and,
Yeah, if they're ready, if they can get it back to us, yeah.
well, even if it's not complete, even if it's not 6 chapters, if they have chapter 4 done, then maybe we can spend time
Mhm.
looking at whatever piece is
Mhm.
far enough along.
Sounds good.
I do have an announcement.
Yes.
So Mark, Mid-America Regional Council is having an online self-paced, planning commissioner essentials, seminar, I guess. Yeah, it's an online course. It goes from start January 1st, and you can take it all the way at any time, through the end of this year. If you want, or if you're interested in it, it will talk about, planning commission roles and responsibilities, standards of effective planning and zoning decision-making, and strategies to manage long-term growth. If you guys are interested, just let me know and we will get you signed up. The city will pay for that, so just let me know.
Is that
If you're
something you can email to us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So, thank you, Amy. That sounds really good. I think training would probably be something that we could all use a little bit more of.
And I think we're still planning on having a session with Spencer at some point, I think when the seats are filled.
And remember, when you get on for that mark, at the ending there, you know, the registration, you won't be able to register. I mean, you can, but for the city to pay that, for community development, Amy will have to assist you on that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Anything else, Amy? Anything else?
That's it.
Pat, you got anything going now? Okay, just checking. Spencer?
Nothing.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Go Chiefs. Hey, really quick though.
Yes.